Hey guys, Professor Rodriguez here, starting out with Visual Basic Lists and Loops. Here are the topics. Here's the input box overview. An input box provides a quick and simple way to ask a user to enter data. User types the data, a value in the text box. OK button returns a string value containing user input. Cancel button returns an empty string. Should not be used as a primary method of input. Conventional tool for developing and testing apps. So you enter your name, you type it in, right? Next one. Simplify general format, input prompt, title, default. Prompt string displays an input box. Normally ask the user for a value. Optional arguments, title. String that appears in the title bar contains project name by default. Default string to be initially displayed in the text box, empty by default. Example uses to retrieve the value entered by the input box function. Use the assignment operator to assign a value. For example, the following statement assigns a string value returned by input function to the string variable. String user input and converts the string to the numeric value. Dim user input as string. Input enter the distance. You provide a value, and then it puts the distance in there. So first you make a string, and then you put an input box, and then that's where it displays it. Right? All right. You put it in, and you enter a distance, and then you hit enter, and that's where it goes. Right? Let's see. Let's go to here. List box. Overview. A list box controls displays a list of items and also allows the user to select one or more items. Displays a scroll bar when items cannot be shown. To create a list box control, double click the list box icon. In the toolbox window, position and resize controls as necessary. In the design mode, list box appears as a rectangle. The size of the rectangle determines the list box. Use the first prefix when naming a list box, LST. List box. The items property, the entries in the list box are stored in the property name items. The items property holds an entire list of values from which the user may choose. The list of values may be established at design time or at runtime. Items are stored in the collection called the items collection. Adding items to the items collection to store values in the items property at design time. Select the list box control in the designer's windows. In the properties window, click the items collection ellipsis button. Type each value on a separate line in the string collection editor dialog box. All right. What do we do next? Let's see. So I was thinking, like, if you want to do a POS system, right? You can do different boxes with fruits and vegetables, and then add the different fruits and vegetables inside there. So if we ever do like a cash register, we can do that doing these types of stuff, right? And then put the price there if you want, right? Let's see, where can we go here? Skip that. We can skip that. Skip that. All right, introducing to loops. Introduction, a repetition structure or loop causes one or more statements to repeat. Each repetition is called an iteration. Visual Basic has three types: do while, do until, and for next. The difference among them is how they control the repetition. The do while loop. The do while loops has two important parts: a Boolean expression that is tested for true or false value, a statement or group of statements that is repeated as long as the Boolean expression is true, called conditional executed statements. Example, the do while initial count initialized to 0, expression initial count is less than 10 is tested. If true, execute body hello added to the first output items collection. Initial count increases by 1. Test expression again, repeat until initial count is less than 10, becomes false. And you can see that, right? Once it gets to 10, it stops, right? Right? And I'll show you an example, right? You start at 0, you want to continue to count till less than 10, and you want to say hello, and then you want to add it by 1 each count, right? Next. Let's see, what's wrong with this? Is it stuck? There we go. Infinite loops. The loops must have some way to end itself, something within the body of the loop that must eventually force the test expression to false. In the previous example, the loop continues to repeat. Initial count increased by 1 for each repetition. Final initial count is not less than 10, and the loop ends. If the test expression can never be false, the loop will continue to repeat forever. This is called an infinite loop, right? Where it just continues. You got to be careful when you're writing code that doesn't happen. It's a big no-no. So here's the example that we were talking about. You hit run demo, right? Run demo. Oh no, I'm supposed to hit run demo, run. No, I'm supposed to hit start. Excuse me, say. Supposed to hit start. Let me drag it over. There we go. Now run demo, run demo. You see how it gave me all 10? Right, hit run demo again, it gives me another 10. Right, every time I hit run demo, it gives me 10. All right, let me look at the code. Right, you see, it's less than 10, so it's gonna give me 10 every time. Right, every time I run it, that's what it's gonna give me. So let me run it. Let me change it to greater than. Right, let me run it. Let me bring it over. If I run demo, it's only gonna give me once. Right, every time I hit run demo, it's gonna hit once. Why? Because it's not greater than 10, so it's gonna stop. Right, so because it's the loop is, for the loop to continue, it has to be greater than 10. In order for the initial count to be add 1, it has to be greater than 10, right? But I start at 0, right? So if it's greater than 10, it's only going to say hello once, and then it's going to stop. When it was less than 10, it was increasing by 1 every time, right? Now this is less than 10, so it's only going to run once every time I hit run demo. Right? And you might be confused, but just think about it, right? It only needs to run once to prove if the Boolean expression is true or false, right? So look, right? It only ran once, right? In order to prove if it's greater than 10, loop. If not, it has to do at least one time, one pass through, in order to prove it, right? That's how you got to think about it. You got to be careful when you do your programs about that, right? It's going to check it, and it's a little confusing, right? But it has to check it at least once. See how I did there? See, it just clicks run demo and it just runs. Every time I hit run demo, it's only going to choose once, right? There you go. Hit as many times, it's only going to choose once. With the other way, watch. If I make it less than, right, what's going to happen? It's going to show me a whole bunch of times when I run it. Let me bring it over to the other side, right? I hit run demo. Look, right? It's gonna, right? Because it's less than 10. It's not greater than, it's less than. Right? So it's gonna keep running until it stops. Counters. A counters is a variable that is regularly incremented or de-incremented each time a loop iterates. Increment means add 1 to the counter value. Initial x equals initial x plus 1. Initial x plus or equals to 1. Decrement means to subtract 1 from the counters value. Initial is equal x. Initial integer x minus 1. Initial x minus equal to 1. Counter generated initialized before the loop begins. Start at 0. The integer count is 0. Counter must be modified in the body of the loop. Increment counter variable initial count plus minus equals 1. Loop ends when the value counter variable exceeds the range of the test expression. Pre-post test do while loops. Previous do while loops are in pre-test form. Expression is test before the body of the loop is executed. The body may not be executed at all. Do while loops also have a post-test form. The body of the loop is executed first. Then the expression is evaluated. Body repeats as long as the expression is true. The post-test always execute the body of the loop at least once. As I showed you in the demo that I did, it does it at least one time, right? It has to, in order to prove if the expression is true or false. The post-test do while, the do while can also be written as a post-test stop. Do statement, more statements say follow loop while Boolean expression, while Boolean expression appears after the loop keyword. Test is Boolean expression after each loop iteration. We always perform at least one iteration, even if the Boolean expression is false to start with, always. All right, let's see. Next example of do while loop. Initial count is 100. Do while message show hello world. Initial count plus equals to 1. Loop while initial is less than 10. Initial, right? It started at 100. The statement of the body execute. Initial count is less than 10 is tested. The expression is false. The loop stops, right? Just like tutorial 3 that we just did, it shows you that it has to do at least one pass before to prove if it's true or false.